is Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestants. Player 1. Player 2. Player 3. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Johnny Gilbert, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Let's take you right now into the Jeopardy round. Clues are worth $200 to $1,000 in these categories. Furniture words. Literary pets. How about a little romance language? Optical illusions. College team nicknames. And back in the 1990s. All right, let's get back into this. Player 1 has control of the board. Something up for debate is on it. Someone who's had a few too many drinks can end up under it. Player 1? Yes. You again, Player 1. In 1965, members of this included Robert McNamara and Stuart Udall. Let's hear it, Player 2. Yes. Player 2, stretch out in this garden area in which plants are grown, or perhaps here at the bottom of a lake. Player 2. That's correct. You again, Player 2. This empire began around 1300 and lasted until 1922. Okay, Player 1. Good. Where do we begin? To phrase your words in a specific way. Let's hear it, Player 1. Good for you. Player 1, choose again. The title beast of his The Hound of the Baskervilles is actually the pet of Mr. Jack Stapleton. It's Player 1. Yeah, good. Please pick again. Harry Potter uses his snowy owl named this to transfer messages. Okay, Player 1. That's correct. You again, Player 1. Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings' The Yearling centers on this type of pet. Player 1. That's right. Way to go. Player 1, choose again. Answer, the Daily Double. You are in the lead right now. Player 1, give us a wager. And the clue. Little Swan, Little Bear, and Greenfinch are some of the goats of this Johanna Spiri lass. That puts you even further ahead. Select again. A poetic Eliot feline who has lived many lives in succession is named for this fifth book of the Old Testament. Let's hear it, Player 2. Good. Where do we begin, Player 2? Around the Vatican, you might be able to practice this source language of all Romance languages. Player 3? Correct. Player 3? Of Catalan, Bulgarian, or Romanian, the one that is not a Romance language. Player 1? That's it. Player 1, it's the most widely spoken Romance language in the world. Okay, Player 1. You got it. You get to pick again. Ligurian, Lombard, and Piedmontese are all dialects of this Romance language. Player 3. Hey, you're right. Player 3. This extinct Romance language of Croatia shares its name with a dog breed. Yes, Player 2. That is correct. Player 2, you're in command of the board. Hope you studied this eye part that, at its maximum contraction in an adult, may be less than 1 millimeter in diameter. Player 1. That is correct. Player 1. Jimmy will present this clue.
To allow your eyes to see clearly at varying distances, fibers called the zonules of Zinn change the shape of this eye part that focuses light onto the retina.
Let's hear it, Player 3. That is correct. All right, let's get... Don't detach this, which is next to the choroid and changes light rays into neural signals. Player 3. Yes. You again, Player 3. Drivers know the point where the optic nerve enters the eye has no rods or cones and goes by this two-word term. Player 1. Correct. Where do we begin, Player 1? The sclera and this consist of tough tissues that make up the outer layer of the eyeball and give it strength. Yes, Player 1? Yep. Select again. UC Berkeley's teams are known as the Golden These. Okay, Player 2. Yep. Player 2. Pepperdine's nickname is this, and some lap not too far away from the campus. Player 3. Yep. Where do we begin? This word describing Penn State's Lions comes from an Algonquian term meaning single mountain. Player 3. Yeah! You get to pick again. This University of Idaho nickname is from an old Germanic tribe whose name has come to mean troublemakers. Okay, Player 2. Good. A lot of clues. The University of Texas at Arlington uses this nickname, shared by the NBA team closest to them. It's Player 1. Yes. Player 1, where do we start? When the UK's 99-year lease on this crown colony ended, China retook control on July 1st, 1997. Player 2. Right. Player 2. On August 10th, 1993, she was sworn in as the 107th Supreme Court Justice. Let's hear it, Player 3. Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
Player 3. Partying like it was February of 1999, Hugo Chavez became president of this country. It's player 3. That is correct. We return to you. On January 1st, 1993, 2 new European nations were formed from the split of this suddenly ex-country. Yes, player 2. That's correct. And the last clue for $1,000. On October 26, 1994, a peace treaty was signed between Israel and this country led by King Hussein I. Let's hear it, player 2. Hey, you're right. Player 3, you're going first in Double Jeopardy, and we'll start that round right after this break. We start the Double Jeopardy categories with this one. Art and artists. What the H? Note the quotation marks. A century of rain. Oscars wild. Science potpourri. And Nigeria. Okay, let's get back into this. Player 3, you make the next selection as we continue. This telegraph inventor's notable portraits included those of the Marquis de Lafayette and William Cullen Bryant. Okay, player 1. Good. A lot of clues. Picasso painted this work as a protest against the bombing of a town in the Spanish Civil War. Okay, player 1. That's it. Player 1. In her 1949 painting Diego and I, Diego Rivera is depicted on her forehead. Player 1. Good. Player 1. Helen Frankenthaler's soak and stain technique was inspired by this artist's drip paintings. Player 1. Good. We return to you. One of his last paintings before his 1903 death in the South Pacific was a landscape of Brittany in winter. Player 2. Correct. Where do we begin, player 2? On January 10th, 2010, this island republic was struck by a devastating earthquake. Yes, player 3? That is correct. All right, it's the HT in HTTP and HTML. Player 2. Correct. Player 2. Olympic event won twice by Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Player 2. That's right. Way to go. Player 2. In the 18th century BC, he wrote down his famous list of do's and don'ts. It's player 3. Good. Player 3. Used in marching bands, it's a large bass tuba that encircles the player's body. Player 1. Correct. All right, let's get back into this. England's Henry VIII. Let's hear it, player 2. Right you are. Player 2, make a select. Germany's Wilhelm I. It's player 1. That is correct. Player 1, where do we start? Answer, the first of the daily doubles. And you're in the lead now. Player 1, give us a wager. Here is your clue. England's William I. Congratulations, you're still in first, Player 1. Please pick again. Italy's Victor Emmanuel III, 45 years of it. It's player 2. That's correct. Player 2, France's Louis XV. Player 3. Hey, you're right. Where do we begin, Player 3? We liked her. We really liked her when this actress won for Places in the Heart in 1985. Player 1? Hey, you're right. Player 1? In 1992, proving he could keep up with the younger crowd, he did one-armed push-ups, accepting his City Slickers Oscar. Let's hear it, Player 2. That is correct. Player 2. He's the SNL guy, and you're not, who opened the 1988 show with, "Good evening, Hollywood phonies." He never hosted again. Player 2. Good. Player 2. This American Beauty nominee nearly had a pregnant pause at the 2000 show. She was due with her fourth at any moment. Yes, Player 1? Right. Where do we begin? Disney sued the Academy for unflattering use of this character after a 1989 duet with her and Rob Lowe. Yes, Player 1? You got it. Player 1, choose again. This age is divided into the Paleolithic, the Mesolithic, and the Neolithic. Okay, Player 1. That's it. You get to pick again. The Oxford English Dictionary defines it as the science of man or of mankind in the widest sense. Let's hear it, Player 3. Yeah, good.
Yeah! Woo!
Player 3. As a visiting scientist at Caltech, Carl Sagan contributed to missions to this planet with about 80% Earth's mass. It's Player 3. Yep. Player 3, you pick again. Gustav Kirchhoff and Robert Bunsen used this prismed scope to see the bands of colored light each element produced. Yes, Player 1? Right. Player 1, start us. Named for a physicist, it's the amount of work done when 1 amp passes through 1 ohm of resistance for 1 second. It's Player 2. That is correct. Player 2, you're in command of the board as we continue right now. As part of its 19th century territorial expansions, this nation colonized the Nigerian port of Lagos in 1861. Yes, player one? Yes. Okay, let's get back. Known for his satire, Wole Soyinka became the first black African winner of this prize for literature in 1986. Yes, player three? You got it. Player three? About a third of Nigeria's states in the heavily Muslim north follow this Islamic law system. Let's hear it, player three. Right you are. Player three. Answer. The other daily double. Player three, you're in last place. How much are you going to wager, player three? Here is your clue. Following ethnic clashes in 1966, the eastern part of Nigeria declared itself the Republic of this in 1967. Yeah, good. Now let's take a look at that $2,000 clue, shall we? Nigeria's first planned city. It was built in the 1980s and officially dedicated as the nation's new capital in 1991. It's player two. Correct. Good game. All of you will continue on to play Final Jeopardy when we return. So much depends on how you do in the Final Jeopardy category, which today is landmarks. Please enter your wager. Let's take a look at that Final Jeopardy clue right now. The landmark site known to the Lakota as Six Grandfathers was renamed this after a prominent lawyer. Let's see your response. And this correct response will add how much to your score? What did you put as your response? With that correct response, you will gain. Did you come up with the correct response? And this correct response will add how much to your score? This makes you our new champion, player one, so congratulations. Good game, everyone, and thank you so much for playing.